You've got a lot going on.
Yeah.
Is that an understatement? Okay. Well, good morning and welcome to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Acom, and we are broadcasting live from the Hesselson's studio here on Marcus Street in Corning. I know yesterday we started right off with our guest. I want to give you a little background on that. Joe Sempolinski was kind enough to be in the studio yesterday, and we have a comment here from a viewer. I'm excited for Joe Sempolinski and the people he will serve if they are smart, meaning if he wins. He is always a joy to watch and a voice of reason, along with a bit of humor and enthusiasm and a lot of intelligence. Now, and also just to that person's comment later, I am in works to have Mayor Bill Bolin back on the program. He is on that Sister Cities trip, San Giovanni Valderno, so he is a little preoccupied right now, but we'll talk to him when he gets back. I've already been in discussion with it because I want to hear about the trip as well. But if you missed yesterday's broadcast, Joe, and I know I like the promo when we're going to have guests on, especially Joe Sempolinski, former congressman, chair of the Steuben County Republican Committee. But I couldn't promote it because it was pretty unexpected, because Friday we got word that he announced that he's running for assembly in the 148th district. Now, before there's any confusion, because I know we have a lineup here where everybody likes our guest, Phil Palmisano is not in the 148th district, so do not worry. Joe is actually vying to replace his former boss, who is retiring, Joe Giglio. So that's just a little bit of background. But thank you for that comment. I agree. I really enjoy when Joe is on the program. We're going to have him on a lot more as he runs for assembly. Sounds like things are going very well for him. You can find out more at joesempolinski.com, and we appreciate him being on the program. But we hit the ground running yesterday with Joe, so I didn't have a chance to mention, if you missed our very special presentation celebrating Black History Month, that is now on YouTube as well as Facebook. I think it turned out amazing. I'm so glad that everybody who could be involved were on the program, but also behind the scenes. Behind the scenes is very vital as well. So thank you to everybody who put that together. You can find it on our YouTube page or our Facebook page. And I'd love to hear what you have to think. Okay, I've got to start with this because it's not the biggest breaking story, but boy, this echoes what we say so often on our program and proves the point of how important local elections are. And you've heard me beat a dead horse on that one a few times. But have you been following the case of, it's out of Dolton, Illinois, and the mayor there, Tiffany Henyard? Have you heard about this? It's a small village outside of Chicago where she is the mayor. She's 40 years old and she's self-proclaimed super mayor. And she is now currently ignoring the Freedom of Information Act request to see the 20,000 resident village's budget, even as she plasters her face on billboards around town at taxpayers' expense. A somewhat ominous Happy Valentine's Day message that reads, quote, "I love you and there's nothing you can do about it." Meanwhile, she turned Thornton Township's bank account. She's also the 190,000 resident township's supervisor, so she's mayor and supervisor, into her personal piggy bank by taking lavish first-class trips to cities around the country, including New York and Las Vegas. As a matter of fact, this is a piece from the New York Post. There she is, spending upwards of $60,000 of township funds. One Dolton trustee, Brittany Norwood, says the embattled mayor refuses to open the books for the board and the public to scrutinize her spending. Won't even show it. Listen to this. A few months ago, this is a quote from Norwood. A few months ago, we were $7 million in debt, the last time they were able to see the numbers. Before Henyard took office, she was a hamburger store owner. She took office in April of 2021. Dolton had a budget surplus. Now, the last time the budget has been seen, $7 million in debt. In 2022, the village board put two questions on the ballot. The first asked voters if Dolton should have a recall mechanism. The second asked if the first succeeded, if Henyard should be recalled. They passed 56%. Yes, 56% of voters wanted to remove the mayor, but luck would have it, the Cook County courts ruled the referendum invalid, keeping the village tyrant in power. Now you're wondering, why am I bringing up something so niche? Well, now Dolan, you'll find out. Now Dolan's finances are so out of control, a leasing bank is threatening to repossess village vehicles, including police cars, due to non-payment. But then you add on to this, I don't want to get too much into it, but Henyard has no shame. She ends up showing up at a board meeting dressed in a costume as Nino Brown. I'm not familiar with this character, but from the 1991 movie New Jack City. And while she was dressed as this person, she came in, and the person in the movie is a kind of a drug lord character. She had a DJ play a Rihanna song. I can't use the one word, but blank better have my money. This is what she did at a town board meeting. Nino Brown is a community terrorist in this movie. We don't need to get into all that. I think drug lord character probably says enough. Behind every tyrant lies his biggest weakness, his insecurity. Henyard plasters her face on billboards throughout the village, paid for by taxpayers, just like dictators have statues of themselves scattered around the country. Isn't this fascinating? You can find out more at the New York Post. They all need constant external recognition of their greatness because they cannot generate it from within. The only way for these strongmen to get the people's adoration is through either forced compliance or kind of this faux charity. Nino Brown handed out turkeys during Thanksgiving, and Tiffany Henyard, get this, gave out free gas for voters during her campaign. So how do we, and this is what it all boils down to, and I know I'm running late, bear with me. So how do we prevent being trampled over by these type of rulers who masquerade as a public servant? We must show up for local elections. Too often, our municipal elections are decided by low voter turnout, especially in the off years of a presidential election. We've forgotten how detrimental one local election can be in such a short period. The supermayor is far from the only municipal politician motivated by personal enrichment who abuses her might. She's just incredibly brazen about it. She's almost bragging about it. She's also been morally corrupt. She only needed to obtain the power to exploit. The problem is our news has become so nationalized. That's why I'm glad that you tuned into our program. Even though this is a national story, maybe a bad example, but yes, the news has become focused on so many national issues when there's so many important local issues going on, and that's why I encourage you to reach out to that number on the bottom of the screen if there's someone you'd like to have on the program, a topic you'd like to discuss. But we'll continue. We've ignored how many immoral actors in government get it passed because we've been obsessively focused on what's happening in D.C. instead of what's happening near me, what's happening in my neighborhood. Local elections matter because if you don't show up, tyrants can make our community hell much faster than the president can. I thought that was so succinct and something that we talked about so often on this program. I just wanted to pat ourselves on the back and say we were ahead of the curve because this show is all about community. But we have a lot to get to. I am running a little late. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox.
Today is the day to start making every day better with a Hesselson's hot tub. Hesselson's winter clearance event is going on now through the end of the month. Save $1,000, $2,000, even $5,000 off Hesselson's already low prices and get free Bluetooth music. With Hesselson's offering many 0% interest refinancing options for up to 5 full years, why wait? Come in today during Hesselson's winter clearance hot tub event and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. Hesselson's, your community partner since 1955. Remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
If you or one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
a very cold day here on Market Street, but that's a beautiful view as we broadcast live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street. I'm your host, Frank Acom. Here's one I did not expect to receive from a viewer, but I really appreciate it. I love your hair. I can't figure out if it's wet or hair gel. Either way, I love it. Well, thank you. And a talk show host never tells us secrets. But I appreciate that comment. Not something I expected this morning, but hey, it can't all be praise for Joe Simpolinski all the time. So I'm going to read the good ones for me, too, sometimes, okay? So did you see the New York Times actually said what we all knew, that the Biden White House and the Biden campaign is very upset with the New York Times. See, New York Times is supposed to be a kind of a safe space, if you will, to use that term, for Democrats. It's historically. I mean, I can't remember. I used to have a sheet of paper to remember how long it had been since they endorsed a Republican for president. It had been decades and decades. So, you know, it's a safe place. And that's one of the really interesting things when they start going after Hochul a little bit. They backed off over that. And they're not really going after Biden. But if you remember that report I brought to you last week, they don't believe they should receive any negative coverage or any coverage on things that should be reported, like the mental decline, the low poll numbers. They believe, not just the New York Times, but no media outlet should be reporting that. And that's because they've always been treated, Biden and leading Democrats, always with kid gloves. I mean, we know about the media bias. We've talked about it in the past, and I'm not the only one talking about it. But the publisher of the New York Times admitted Monday that the White House is extremely upset with the paper's coverage of President Biden's dismal approval ratings and voter concern about his age. He is a historically unpopular incumbent and the oldest man to ever hold this office, A.G. Sulzberger said in an interview with Reuters Institute. We've reported on both those realities extensively, and the White House has been extremely upset about it. Sulzberger, 43, vowed that the paper will, quote, continue to report fully and fairly, which I don't believe they actually do, but you've got to run with that, right? Despite the criticism it has received from the 81-year-old president's staff. Quote, we are not saying that this is the same as former President Trump's 5 court cases or that they are even. They are different, but they are both true, and the public needs to know both those things. White House spokesman Ian Sams, if you recall, called out the New York Times and other news outlets, and this is the report I had for you the other day, over coverage of Hur's report last week in a 4-page letter addressed to the White House Correspondents Association President Kelly O'Donnell of NBC. And that's not the first time they've written a letter complaining about what the coverage. I can't imagine. And this goes to show you how easy they must have it, because could you imagine seeing how Trump was treated by the media in his 4 years in office and after and before, but let's just say those years in office, and then actually complaining about the coverage they're receiving as a Biden administration? I mean, they were never going to report on Hunter until they were forced to. They were never going to report about the age issue, the mental health issue, until they were forced to. And mind you, as they report on it, they still always have to say, yeah, but what about Trump? So it's astonishing to me. He argued that journalists are misrepresenting the report's conclusion about Biden's retention of sensitive materials, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, we got to take another short break. Stay with us. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Looks like y'all got a lot of stuff here in your water.
You're never gonna believe it, but this can filter up to 60 different contaminants from your water.
It's all about cleaner drinking water.
Dude, that's good water.
And that's good water.
Now that's good water.
That's good water, eh?
No matter where you live, there's a Culligan water expert nearby. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks are a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen One, the portable oxygen concentrator you can take almost anywhere.
With this little device, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
The Inogen One is so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again. With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen One for 30 days completely risk-free. Give us a call right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days completely risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen One system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 1-800-929-7290. Again, that's 1-800-929-7290.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
It's a season of Sherry.
Having a good time has always been my #1 goal. I tend to get crazy. At my age, I should not be jumping up and down like that. And if you don't know what I mean, ask your mama. The young ones, y'all like, we don't know what you're talking about. But I promise you, in 30 years, you will.
It's the best time in daytime.
Weekdays at 2 p.m. on Big Fox.
Thank you again for joining us here on Frankly Speaking on Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Akem. We're broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. Let's tie in our topics. Oh, we had a great point from a viewer. And the Hunter issues, meaning Hunter Biden, has disappeared from the news. Great point. They reported, if you recall, when they reported on it, when that deal went down and the judge said, no, this isn't working. The media had to report on it, but they also had to play catch up from all the information that they refused to report from day one. So it's interesting now that they covered it a little bit, very little bit, and again, like this viewer says, buried, or I shouldn't even say buried, because that makes it sound like it's on the last page somewhere. It's not even there. So that's a very good point. Now let's talk about New York issues, but tied in with a national theme. 70% of New York voters say Biden is not fit to serve another term. So let me ask you this question. 70% of New York voters say Biden is not fit to serve another term. Okay. Do you think the New York State will still go in the Electoral College, will go for Biden? You see that number on the bottom of your screen? They want someone else, the New York Post exclaims. Meanwhile, though, I will add, more than half of the Empire State voters said the same of former President Trump. Only 7% of voters surveyed considered both Biden and Trump fit to be president. Another 23% of respondents said Biden is fit and Trump is not. Conversely, I know it's tough reading numbers, so bear with me. 35% of voters said Trump is fit and Biden is not, while another 32% said neither is up to the task of leading the country. In sum, 70% of voters said Biden was unfit or gave no opinion, while 58% concluded Trump was unfit or gave no opinion. Only 48% of fellow Democrats said Biden is fit to serve. I just think it's interesting. Wow, we're getting a lot of waves this morning. Thank you, everybody. I think the problem that I have with this is it's just like when you see Hochul's numbers or you see these favorability ratings and you go, well, maybe here's our chance. And then at the end of the day, there's such a, what did I read? It's Democrats have a 27-point enrollment advantage over Republicans in New York. So at the end of the day, they're going to be, good soldiers, so to speak, and vote the party line. Now in New York, Biden leads Trump 48% to 36% in a head-to-head matchup for the presidency. So again, not fit to serve another term, 70%, but still people will be voting for him. He leads Trump by 10 points, 42 to 32%. When independent candidates Robert Kennedy and Cornel West are included in the mix. Robert Kennedy getting 13% support in this poll. Now, I'll take polls however you want. I just think it's a Siena poll. Thought it was kind of interesting this morning. Cornel West, 6% support. Okay. Biden's lead in the Empire State is underwhelming, given the yawning enrollment edge Democrats have over Republicans. Quote, listen to this. It's worth remembering just how blue New York is. Democrats have a 27-point enrollment advantage over Republican. Biden beats Trump by 23 points in 2020. And no Republican presidential candidate has carried the state since Ronald Reagan in 1984, which is 40 years ago. Elsewhere, though, this is why I bring it up. It wasn't just about the national scene. Wow, we're getting a lot of comments. We'll come back to those in just a second. It's too tough to read them live on air because you never know some of the things you guys are going to say. Gillibrand, Senator Gillibrand, this is interesting, could face a real fight if the Republicans field a strong nominee. Only 39% of voters backed Gillibrand's re-election, while 37% they preferred someone else, perhaps providing a glimmer of hope for the GOP. Now, Gillibrand, just to be clear, before you get your hopes up, is a clear favorite, but there's a reason why we've now seen three Republicans enter the race against her. Now, I know I've mentioned two of them, but there's a new entry into the race, a former Golden Gloves boxing champ and celebrity fitness trainer on the old TV show, or maybe it's still going on, The Biggest Loser. Trump backer Cara Castronova, a conservative journalist who has advocated for January 6 rioters, and I think that may be a little biased way of writing that, but emerged as a late entry into the GOP fray just days before state party leaders are set to select a favored candidate at a convention on Thursday. So Castronova has netted the endorsements from the Staten Island Republican Party, former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani, and longtime Trump advisor Roger Stone. On the other side, if you're not familiar with the other candidates running, you have retired NYPD detective Michael Sapricone. Now, he is the favorite for the Republicans, just meaning looking at the numbers before the convention. He is considered the front runner to net the endorsement after lining up substantial support from GOP leaders in most of the largest counties in the state, because it's a little bit tricky how that's all done. Also seeking the nomination is businessman Josh Eisen. If you recall, I interviewed him on the program when he first announced. He was the first one out of the gate. He has been endorsed by former Governor George Pataki. Okay, that's just a quick update. We have so much to get to this morning, and I got to say, we're doing great already. Thank you for everybody with the comments and the waves. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV. Big Fox, stay with us.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
So, what did we learn today? That Spectrum One gives people everything that they need at a great price. And what are those things?
Super fast internet.
Comes with it, yes.
A line of unlimited mobile.
Now we're cooking, yes, comes with it.
Free advanced Wi-Fi.
Also comes with it. What else do people want, guys?
A sense of purpose and direction in life.
It does come with state-of-the-art security features, which is kind of like the same thing.
Get Spectrum Internet for $49.99 a month with free advanced Wi-Fi and a free line of unlimited mobile for 12 months. Call, click, or visit a Spectrum store today.
Tired of a pan that always sticks? It's so scratched and worn, you can't cook in it.
Hi, Chef Daniel Green here with my new hammered pans from Gotham Steel. This complete 9-piece set is guaranteed to beautify your kitchen like never before. Hammered pans are ultra non-stick and they're even oven safe up to 500 degrees. So bake homemade chicken pot pie or this whole chicken dinner. Use metal beaters straight in the pan for a gourmet souffle that slips right out. Plus the entire set is dishwasher safe and PFOA free.
Get the full 9 9-piece Gotham Steel hammered set for just 5 payments of $49.99, and we'll even ship it to you free. But order now and we'll drop 1 payment. That's just 4 payments of $49.99. Plus, we'll include this free steamer and strainer, and our 5-piece bakeware set with every pan you'll ever need to make delicious breads, cakes, and desserts. That's a huge 15-piece set with free shipping. Call or click now.
Call 1-800-608-1538 or go to buyhammered.com.
And we are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox. Well, we are receiving such great comments. Thank you, and all the nice waves. Schumer, Gillibrand, AOC, Bowman, Hochul, Adams all need to be voted out, said one viewer. And also, yes, I do believe that people at the end of the day in New York will back Biden and Hochul. I know it's frustrating, and I don't want to be the pessimist, but I think that's the way. It's kind of a fool me once, shame on you scenario. I hope I'm wrong. Here's another comment from a different viewer. This is from Ken in Horseheads. Frank, could the legacy media, and I think you raised a good point. You mentioned this in the past, Ken. I like legacy media more than mainstream media because there are new outlets that I would consider mainstream that it's not fair to equate the bias with. But could the legacy media's newfound honesty about Biden's dementia be with the approval of the Democrats? That's the million-dollar question. When her sort of forced their hand, but they were starting to report on it a little bit before that. And I do believe it was, or at least originally, let's get him out. We don't want Harris, but if he gets out at a certain time, we could probably find someone to replace him that would do better against Trump. But I'll continue. With the media's low ratings and the Democrats knowing Biden will be eventually replaced, this tactic could sway some viewers into thinking that the media is more honest than they actually are, raising ratings. That's a good, fair point. This would also give them more credibility when bashing Trump. Perhaps, I don't really know. This goes back to my theory. I don't believe the media cares about ratings as much as they let on. At the end of the day, I do believe it's pushing an agenda in this case. And they believe, because kind of in their own bubble, that especially the legacy media, believes that they're going to be untouchable no matter what. Yeah, some reporters will have to lose their job and they'll blame it on this host or that person. But at the end of the day, they believe that they are untouchable. So I don't know how much they worry about their credibility when bashing Trump or their ratings. It's more about pushing whatever that agenda is. And they believe, because they live in a bubble, that everybody's going to support what they're saying, the bashing of Trump. So that's a good point. Hey, one quick New York thing. House Speaker Mike Johnson's going to be traveling to Binghamton on Thursday. That's kind of cool. For an event with Republican Representative Mark Molinaro. It's going to be focused on law enforcement funding and public safety, and that's major factors. That's very smart on Representative Molinaro. The Thursday meeting will be at the Broome County Sheriff's Office, and it's said to feature sheriff deputies, neighboring law enforcement, and other first responders and their families. Oh, cool. So, House Speaker Mike Johnson will be in Binghamton on Thursday. Also, going back to that Siena poll, how are we doing on time? Yeah, we're doing fine. Governor Hochul's favorability rating, 41 to 46, meaning 41 favorable, 46 not favorable. But yeah, her job approval is 48-47. I mean, that's kind of weird. So favorable, nah, not favorable. But job approval, all right. How? Down quite a bit from just a month ago, I believe. Yeah, 52 to 43. Each fell by net 8 points from January. Now, this is why I bring it up. Nearly half of voters, 49%, identify the cost of living in New York as one of their top 2 issues for the governor and legislature to address, with 29% actually calling it the top issue. What are the other, let's say, top 3 issues that our voters are concerned with? I think you can guess it. Migrants, crime, and affordable housing. That's why, and I'm always, well, it is interesting that the influx of migrants has grown over crime, because really that's one of the reasons that Lee Zeldin did so well, is because he ran on public safety. Top issue that voters want governor and the legislator to address. Cost of living is at 29%. Influx of migrants, 23%. Crime, 15%. Affordable housing, 13%, et cetera, et cetera. I'm a little surprised by crime being at 15%. But those are the numbers from Sienna's most recent poll, passing that along to you. And speaking of that, I'm not just trying to put down New York this morning. And I've also got to say I'm not overly familiar with this gentleman, in full disclosure. But have you ever watched Shark Tank? And there's a man on there that they call, I guess, Mr. Wonderful, Kevin O'Leary. Well, he weighed in on Trump's fraud ruling, and he said, forget about the Trump factor. It's not about that. What does this say to everybody that wants to do work in New York and wants to risk capital? This judge arbitrarily decided that this is the right amount. I don't understand it. No developer does. That means that Trump has been forced to pay $355 million in punitive damages in this civil fraud case. He added, it's an atrocity. It's an embarrassment. But it's an assault on real estate. New York, and this is why I bring it up, and you tell me if you agree or not. New York was already a loser state, like California is a loser state. There are many loser states because of policy, high taxes on competitive regulations. I would never invest in New York now, and I'm not the only person saying that. With New York appearing to categorize some instances of that process as potentially fraudulent, meaning the real estate process, O'Leary said New York has supplanted California as the top name on his list of loser states for business. O'Leary suggested developers and investors ignore the trend of incorporating on the coasts, except for Florida, and instead consider moves to incorporate in North Dakota, West Virginia, Texas, or Oklahoma. These are winner states. Why go to a loser state like New York? Each of us as investors, we vote with our capital. Now, Fox Business host Charles Payne agreed, telling Fox News that his suggestion, quote, no one should touch New York, incorporation-wise, is absolutely right. Incorporation-wise is absolutely right. That's a weird way of wording that. Payne said $1 trillion in business has already left New York, largely, think about that, $1 trillion in business already left New York, largely for Florida and Texas, and that with Manhattan skyscrapers around 50% capacity, it appears unlikely they will return to full use. Payne added New York's crime crisis and ever-increasing regulations are keeping businesses out of the state. All right, that's not necessarily a positive story, but they all tied in together. It was actually pretty easy to segue all those. But it's a conversation we have a lot on this program because we want, I don't want to speak for everybody watching, but you want to see New York succeed. It's a beautiful area. We live here. That's why we go back to elections being so important. That's why we go back to kind of righting the ship here in New York and not giving up, but it does get frustrating really daily, and specifically when Albany's in session. Okay, we've got a few things about the presidential race, a couple other things that I hope that we'll have an opportunity to get to as well. We're moving right along. Again, if you didn't catch the beginning of the program, the special presentation celebrating Black History Month is now up on YouTube as well as our Facebook page. If you missed that, I think it was very informative, and I can't thank our guests enough, Georgia Verdier, Michael Joseph, and having that great tour of the John W. Jones Museum. I'm really proud of that, so I hope that you can check that out for yourself. But let's take another break. We'll be right back with Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
Isn't your wellness important? Don't you want more energy? Now's the best time to make every day better and relieve those achy muscles and pains than with the Hesselson's Hot Tub. Hesselson's has hot tubs in stock and available for immediate delivery with unbelievable savings. Hesselson's offers 0% interest-free financing for up to 5 full years. Hesselson's carries the only hot tub brand in the industry with the exclusive freshwater salt system that is eco-friendly and easy to use and only enhances your hot tubbing experience. Come in today and see why your next hot tub should be a Hesselson's hot tub. And remember, it's always fun to poke in the corners at Hesselson's.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to
show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel. With Japanese-grade steel blades, plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Balder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Balder Boss now.
Getting aerial video for a commercial used to be extremely expensive, but not anymore. WYDC TV Big Fox now offers the Twin Tiers amazing aerial video for your business. We do it with our state-of-the-art drone and commercially licensed aerial pilot. Beautiful HD aerial video and pictures custom-made for your commercial. Call or email now to advertise on Big Fox TV and let everyone see your business in a whole new way.
Are setting the stage for the finale. I can feel the pressure in the room. Things are about to get real. Let the duel begin.
There are just 2 weeks left.
$250,000 is right around the corner.
And some players are getting their first shot.
Stand in obscurity until the moment you dominate the floor.
Who will come out of nowhere to take control?
Germany. Kenya.
Nixon.
You are truly unstoppable.
Tonight, we are back with Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio. I'm your host, Frank Acom. We're having great discussions this morning. Keep the conversation coming in. I have 2 quick announcements before we get back into, and this time, the presidential race. Don't forget our friends. We mentioned when Assemblyman Phil Palmisano was on the program on Friday, our friends at the Painted Post Food Pantry. They have coming up very soon on February 28th, the Nutrition Workshop. It's the 4th Wednesday of every month at 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. All workshops include a 35 to 40-minute lesson, a recipe demonstration with samples, a free kitchen tool for every participant. Lessons, recipes, and kitchen tools are different every time. Now, that's at the United Church of Painted Post, 201 North Hamilton Street in Painted Post. And again, it's coming up on the 28th. Another event coming up, our good friend Nicole Dabby, who's been on the program numerous times with her Veterans Services program, specifically the Dwyer program, where it's veterans getting to, kind of socialize and hang out with fellow veterans. They have a really special program, and we've talked about, goat yoga or something like that, or breakfast with goats. They've had some really unique, painting classes, things like that. Well, they have one coming up. They're hosting a pottery class at 171 Cedar Street in Corning. Now, this is not like their typical programs. This is limited to 10 veterans. That's why I want to mention it to you if you are a veteran. You must make the commitment to attend all 4 classes in March, as they're going to be turning a piece of clay, I like this, a piece of clay into our masterpiece during this time. We'll be hand building, not using a wheel during the class, and our project will be amazing. So if you are interested, please contact Nicole Dabby. The event dates are Tuesday, March 5th through the 26th, and each of the 4 classes is from 12:30 to 2 p.m., and that's at 171 Cedar Arts Center. So if you need to find out more, you can give her a call, 716-371-1857. That's, again, 716-371-1857. Okay. Back to it. As much as we've talked about the polls and what they've shown for Biden, of course, the recent Her report and, again, dismal poll numbers, Biden still drew in $42 million in January amid a fresh round of Democrat hand-wringing. Is that a little bit of an overstatement? Yes, there are some talks from some people about what can we do now. Because Biden, they're getting concerned that Trump is going to be Biden. So they're looking at different avenues to go down, and I mentioned it with Joe Sempolinski yesterday, that it was, there's a, quote, inside plot to find an alternative to Biden. But I'll continue. It's a sizable haul that shows the party's donor class is still firmly behind the president, despite anxiety around his re-election run. The campaign announced it ended the month with $130 million on hand, the largest figure amassed by a Democrat presidential candidate at this point in the campaign cycle. The Biden campaign and Democrats have so far outpaced former President Donald Trump in the Republican primary field and fundraising as well. So is it much to do about nothing? Here's another comment from a viewer as we're live on the air. This goes back to New York State issues before we go back into presidential. 20% increase in auto and home insurance premiums in New York is being welcomed for New Yorkers. Yay, I just paid mine. Well, congratulations on just paying them. Yeah, it goes back to that point. Here's another comment. Frank, anything about the truck strike staying out of New York City? I hope they do. All because of the judge. Oh, yeah, because of what the judge did to Trump with that $355 million case, I guess you'd call. They should be disbarred, and hopefully the truckers will go to New York, or will not go to New York and deliver anything. It's a little dangerous for me reading live on the air sometimes. How awesome would that be? All those people on ABC and NBC and CBS in New York City in the morning, they don't have any food. But he said he's a top Republican. To that point, if you're not familiar with that, I actually had that to get to this morning, and I'll jump right ahead to it. What happened was, it was kind of one of these things that went viral. Someone released a video saying, you know what, the $355 million civil fraud case, we're not happy with it. This is truckers. And they're saying, you know what, we're going to boycott. They refused to deliver in the Big Apple, and that could paralyze New York City, as more drivers vowed to join the boycott following the bombshell ruling. It could shut New York City down, said Jennifer Hernandez, a trucker who has joined in the protests against Manhattan Supreme Court Justice Arthur Engoron's decision to fine Trump $355 million. I'm not trying to hurt the people of New York. That's not why I'm trying to do, Hernandez insisted. But if New York loses just 10% of the trucks that go in there, their prices are going to skyrocket on everything from milk to eggs to any type of goods that the consumer needs. When that happens, it's going to cost everyone more money. Several other truckers have been posting on social media expressing their support for the boycott. One even claiming that 95% of truckers support the former president and said the bosses of freight companies, quote, ain't going to care if we deny the loads. We'll just go somewhere else. Now, this did gain the attention of the former president, saying such an honor to have as many great patriots on the side of freedom. This was posted on his Truth Social. Joe Biden's unfair and dangerous weaponization of law enforcement is a serious threat to democracy. Make America great again. It'll be interesting to see where this goes. I know there's been calls of that in the past. I do not know a lot more information than the few reports that I've read. So if you hear anything, I'd love to hear from you. Now, we've got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV, Big Fox.
It's time to stock up on your favorite New York wines at GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads. GCP Discount Liquors and Wines has the largest selection of Finger Lakes wines in the Southern Tier, all under one roof. Whether you're looking for Lakewood, Wagner, Wise, or Haslett 1852 Vineyards, GCP Discount Liquors and Wines is your convenient one-stop shop for these great wineries and more, all at the area's lowest prices. Shop GCP Discount Liquors and Wines in Horseheads, the best in service, selection, and price.
What's up, guys? What I'm about to show you is going to change the way you shave your head forever.
You can shave your head in 90 seconds or less.
With no cuts or nicks. It's 100% waterproof.
It even works in the shower.
Introducing Remington's Balder Boss. With increased flex and 5 dual-track floating head design, get over 60% more head coverage for a faster, closer shave and skin-close results.
No nicks, no scrapes. Fit in the palm of my hand, and the results were amazing.
Shave in the shower or with any foam or gel with with Japanese-grade steel blades plow through the thickest of hair. Anytime, anywhere. There's even a pop-up trimmer to complete your perfect groove. Now, you can try the Remington Boulder Boss in your home for 30 days for just $14.99. Complete with a 5-year limited warranty and 100% satisfaction guarantee. You can also get our ear, nose, and brow trimmer free. Just pay separate processing and handling.
Give it a try. You won't be disappointed.
Order your Boulder Boss now.
Saturday night on Fox Primetime Hoops. It's a battle in the Big East as Villanova takes on top-ranked UConn. Donovan Clingan leads the Huskies as the defending champs look to showcase why they are the best in the nation.
Exclamation point!
But Eric Dixon and the Wildcats have their sights set on a huge upset. Villanova, UConn. Coverage begins Saturday at 7 Eastern.
The biggest games are on Fox.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on WYDC TV Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Marcus Street in Queen. I'm so glad that you've joined us this morning. Now, I don't believe that Nate Silver, the founder of 538's, the be-all and end-all, I know a lot of people look at him and to me he seems to get it wrong a lot. I don't know, but anyway, that's not why I bring this up. A lot of people do really focus on what he has to say. He called on Biden to reassure voters he is capable of running a campaign. Otherwise, Silver said, Biden should step aside ahead of the August nominating convention and let the party select a new candidate. Quote, Biden needs to reassure the American public that he's capable of handling public appearances that aren't on easy mode, or he needs to stand down, or he's probably going to lose to Trump. Well, you know what's interesting, and he brings it up later, that not on easy mode. There is no easier interview than the Super Bowl interview, which he declined. Still fascinating me. Personally, this again, Nate Silver. Personally, I crossed the Rubicon in November, concluding that Biden should stand down if he wasn't going to be able to run a normal re-election campaign, meaning things like conduct a Super Bowl interview. Yes, it's a huge risk. Why is that a huge risk? It's pre-taped. It's always, for Democrats, softball questions. Why is that a huge risk? But anyway, and yes, Biden can still win, but he's losing now, and there's no plan to fix the problem other than hoping that the polls are wrong or that voters look at the race differently when they have more time to focus on it. Silver wrote that shielding Biden from the media leads people to conclude there is something to be concerned about. He noted that even the most optimistic Democrats, if you read between the lines, aren't really arguing that Democrats could win despite Biden and not because of him. They are actually arguing that Democrats could win despite Biden, not because of him. I know, interesting, coming from Nate Silver. I know a lot of you will recognize the name. Over the course of the next several weeks, this is what Nate Silver suggests. Biden should do 4 lengthy sit-down interviews with non-friendly sources. Non-friendly doesn't mean hostile. Nonpartisan reporters with a track record of asking tough questions would work great. He won't do that. He gets angry when he's asked not even tough questions, fair questions. And that is not a good look, as we saw in that press conference, trying to ease the worry about his mental health. Quote, a complete recording of the interviews should be made public. The interviews ought to include a mix of different media, example, television and print, and journalistic perspectives. So could I, other critics, and 75% of Americans be wrong about this? Sure, I'm wrong about a lot of things, said Nate Silver. But if we're wrong about this, it ought to be easy to prove it. I mean, you can say that's what he should do. He's not going to do that. If he turned down the Super Bowl interview, what interviews would it take? You've heard my theory. I said it yesterday, but I've said it numerous times before, that they will say that they don't need to debate Trump because they don't want to give Trump the platform. You can read all the writing on the wall, and the media, even though they've been forced to report on some of this, is not going to go all in on this if he ultimately ends up being the candidate. They will like they did last go-round, be fine with a campaign from the basement. We got to take another short break. Stay with us. This is Frankly Speaking on Big Fox.
If you or a loved one regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, you may be entitled to significant financial compensation.
I've used hair relaxers for years. I had no idea they could cause cancer.
Chemical hair relaxers and straighteners have been linked to serious conditions, including several types of cancer.
How do I know if I have a case?
Call 844-292-6222 and consult with one of our attorneys to find out if the products you used are part of the lawsuit. Your eligibility will also depend on how often you use these hair products and your specific cancer diagnosis. If you regularly used hair relaxers or straighteners and were diagnosed with uterine, ovarian, or endometrial cancer, call us now. Call 844-292-6222.
How much will it cost to talk to an attorney?
There is no fee unless we win your case. Call 844-292-6222 for your free case review.
More cars. Lower prices. More cars at lower prices. You've waited long enough. Make car buying simple when you drive your deal at Simmons-Rockwell.com, where you'll always find more cars at lower prices.
No music or anything. We're jumping right back into it. Welcome back to Frankly Speaking. I'm looking at all these great messages that we were receiving, and I lost track of the time. How about this? I like this comment. We were just mentioning that Biden should be doing more interviews to ease people's worried minds. That's according to Nate Silver. Frankly Speaking needs to interview Biden for the country. Yes. Broadcast nationwide on Fox. Okay. I'm all for it. Mr. Biden, President Biden, you see the number on the bottom of the screen. Please feel free to reach out at any time, and we'll get that set up at your convenience. I like the idea. Here's another one, a little off topic, but I think an important point, and I'd love to hear your opinion on it. This is from a viewer. On a topic that has been discussed by many presidential and congressional candidates, and a key issue for us retirees, how to save Social Security. Social Security was instituted to help retirees make ends meet. Two things could greatly help, but are never mentioned. One, eliminate the Social Security tax cap of $168,800. High earners, like our politicians, should pay on what they earn, like the Medicare tax is. And two, means evaluation for high-earning individuals that will retire with enough means that they don't need the Social Security boost to make ends meet. Thank you very much for all these comments. I think everybody waved and comment throughout the morning. A couple other things. We do have one other break that we need to take before we wrap things up on today's edition. Just quickly, the Biden reset moment. Nate Silver says they're almost going along to get along. He didn't say that exactly, but they think that the polls are going to be wrong. Don't worry, at the end of the day, Biden's going to win. Well, behind the scenes, they believe the State of the Union coming up next month is Biden's big chance at a reset moment. Many top Democrats are convinced that if the election were today, Biden would lose a rematch with Trump. Biden's address on March the 7th is his biggest chance to shift that public perception. They're saying, and I've heard that a few people reporting this, they thought that his State of the Union was so good last year, that they're hoping for a repeat triumph. Everyone around him is well aware of the need to jack his campaign up, a source close to Biden said. The only way to deal with the negative aftershocks of the special counsel's report, slamming Biden's age, is for the president to be out there, to be visible, to be strong, to be a strong voice. One bold move that Biden has considered, get this is coming from Axios, being reported by Axios. It is an executive order that would dramatically staunch the record flow of migrants in the Southwest. This could even happen in the 2 weeks before the address, allowing Biden to say he took action while Republicans just talked. So basically reinstituting what he signed to get rid of day one, meaning Trump's policy. Interesting. But memories are short for the American public, so they may not remember that was his goal day one. All right, we got to take another short break. Then we're going to wrap things up here on Frankly Speaking. Stay with us.
Wow. You found it.
I did.
The History of Water Part 6? I've been dying to read this.
I know, honey.
I always wanted that book.
At Culligan, we get that most people don't think about water like we do, and that's okay. You see, when we install one of our high-efficiency water softeners, we're thinking about hard water and limescale buildup, so you can just think about longer-lasting appliances and softer skin and hair. At Culligan, we think about your water, so you don't have to.
Call today to schedule your free water test.
The world pizza has been baked in ovens made of stone, but you can't fit one of those on the countertop in your home. Introducing Paisano, the authentic pizza oven by Granite Stone. Now make the world's most delicious pizza with real stone right in your own home. You simply set it and let it make golden, crispy, extra cheesy stone-baked pies in under 6 minutes. The secret is the dual-controlled heat zones that quickly heat the real ceramic stone up to 800 degrees so you can stone bake just like the pros. Plus, there's no gas, wood, or charcoal needed. Paisano is electric, plug-in, and portable. You can get your Paisano pizza oven for just 4 easy payments of $39.99. And we're gonna drop one payment. You get it all for just 3 easy payments of $39.99. Plus, we'll ship your entire order free.
Call 1-800-597-7208 or order online at buypaisano.com. Call now.
Welcome back to Frankly Speaking here on Big Fox. I'm your host, Frank Aiken, broadcasting live from the Hesselson studio here on Market Street Recording. Here's another comment from a viewer. Good morning, Frank. Good morning. My eyes are on South Carolina on Saturday to see if Haley's nonstop chaos rhetoric resonates with the people. Yes, there is chaos, but I'm pretty certain most of the chaos is due to these ridiculous, trumped-up charges and something the former president would certainly like not to have to deal with. It's interesting that mainstream media talking heads love to use that same term. Yes, chaos is definitely the major word. The polling shows that Haley in her home state was down 30%. So, yes, you could have a scenario where if she goes to 20, loses by only 20%, the media may try to say, see, it was resonating with her, the chaos idea. I guess I just don't know how, just thinking about Nikki Haley, how do you come back from that? I mean, she's a young person who could run, especially in presidential elections in the future. I'm not sure why she's putting all of her eggs in one basket now, because it's going to be hard to overcome if she decides to run in the future for president, to overcome losing your home state by, let's even say 20 points, but 30 points. Oh, man, we are out of time. Oh, did you see the Biden kind of as predicted? Here's another comment from another viewer. Haley is a Democrat mole. Oh, interesting. Biden, this goes back to Biden, is going to go to the UN Security Council to force a temporary ceasefire on Israel and halt the Rafah offensive. Yes, a lot of people considering this an outrage. We knew that he was going to weaken his stance because he started to see polling numbers, unfortunately, with his party, that it was going to hurt him. The same way, did you see that he's walking back the electric vehicles because he's worried about the union's support? It's unbelievable. It really, here it is. As we're out of time. Joe Biden pumping brakes on electric vehicle mandates before 2024 election. All right. We're out of time for today's edition of Frankly Speaking. Thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. Thank you for all the great comments. And we will be back tomorrow morning, starting at 7 a.m. for Frankly Speaking. Only on WYDC TV, Big Fox. We will see you tomorrow morning, bright and early.
Teeth not as white as you'd like? Watkins Glen and Elmira Family Dentistry can fix that. Give them an hour of your time, and they'll give you that bright smile you've always wanted. No lights, no gimmicks, no wipes, and absolutely no application by yourself. Sit back and relax in one of their beautiful offices and let a licensed dental professional apply the product for you. And with their winter whitening sale, you'll have even more to smile about.